Hey there. I'm going to try an experiment here. You know how we're cautioned to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And figuring out how to be harmless is kind of a no-brainer for Sleeple, you know. Those of us that are waking up, we get to see so much that's so disappointing, so deeply disappointing. All the sandcastles we built with our beliefs, all the things that we were fed, all the institutions we were brought up to trust and believe were founded in and operated on integrity. When we find out the ugliness that's at the top of pretty much everything, it's difficult. And being harmless doesn't seem enough. You know, you want to respond. And yet, anything that we fight, we become. There are two things that a lot of us either have learned or are learning, and that is what you fight, you become, what you fear, you magnetize to yourself. And so it's kind of an internal self-teaching mechanism, I suspect, that the higher part of ourself, or the fuller part of ourself, you know, that's beyond the 10% of the mind that's conscious, is, and that's the mind, not the brain, okay? As in subconscious, unconscious, superconscious, so on. So when we say I, most of us are just speaking for that 10%. And that's a big thing to wake up to, realizing that you don't know who you are, that you only know this little small speck of the self. That's another thing we were taught to believe, or we just weren't taught that it's not true. A lot of our teaching was what was omitted, as well as what was directly taught. So anyway, what's all this about? I'm going to use an example. Sometimes there's all kinds of media out there, and most of us are pretty good at hooking up with the alternative media. Personally, I don't go for anyone with an axe to grind, anyone who's angry or hateful or too intense. That doesn't do me any good, and I'd rather get my information elsewhere. But there's plenty of alternative media that's really good. It's just calm, and it presents factual information, backs it up, and isn't so 100% negative that it's just totally depressing to listen to. But the news itself, you know, we can look at it and say, well, that's depressing. Well, it doesn't have to be. We're taking our power back, right? Whether we're depressed or not is going to go from something that leaves us helpless and unable to do anything about it to something that we can look more deeply into and do something about. Baby steps, you know, all we need to do is take the step that's right directly in front of us. Now is all that counts. And so in my now, I want to share with you, somebody just sent me a video. It's something about the Annunaki, with a wise warning that said, you know, don't pay too much attention to the title. The video itself is pretty good, and it is. It presents some things with the facts, with information, with pictures of things that I wasn't aware of. I was aware in a general way, but I have new specifics now. Now, throughout such a video, it's going to seem negative all the way through. What they're doing is they're saying this is what's being done behind the scenes. How you respond is your choice. We're not knee-jerk types anymore. That's what sheeple and sleeple do. They react instead of respond. I want to share how I respond, or how I responded to this video, with a warning up front. What goes around comes around, and what we send out will come back. It's my contention that the Illuminati, the powers that were, whatever we call them, the dark force, yada, 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 are putting out more than enough negative energy. We don't need to add to it. As in, I think it's Tai Chi, what we can do is take what they send out and masterfully mirror it back, send it back to them. So they're eating their own crap. The thing that's important as a light being is not to add to it, because then you're involved. You've pulled yourself in. You've got a part of your own personal energy in it, and that pulls you into that, and it's just not what I'm suggesting. So what I'm suggesting is, don't do this unless you're in heart. Don't do this when you're tired. Don't do this when you're not in a good space, when you're distracted, and so on. But you can watch a video, hit the pause button often, and as a for instance, this video, and I'll put a link to it here because I think it's ideal for this purpose. It's not overly negative, it's not an axe to grind, it's presenting information. And they're talking about, as a for instance, the various technologies with images of them that are used to wirelessly harm us, to manipulate us. They show some of the patents that the U.S. has registered for subliminal mind control. And they can do more than that with it. And so they talk about how experimentation was done on people in prisons and so on. You know, innocent people that didn't know these rays, these weapons were being beamed at them. Okay, so before or after you get any kind of a gut response that makes you angry, be detached. Some of my prayers, if you will, I call to my own higher self, which is Source, and to Source, to Prime Creator. And I call for a number of things. One thing is for anything used with negative intent to be beamed back at the users. A lot of this is spying devices, and so we're snooped on in amazing and sickening ways. And so I call for all truth to be surrounded and shielded in light in such a way that it's not easily captured by their devices. I call for their devices to not work, for the evil intent that's behind them to go into them and create havoc, for that which they wish to store to be non-storable, for all kinds of using their own energy, just mirroring back their own darkness. So I call for their darkness to be mirrored back to them, and for the light beings to have a shield of light and protection, and to soar above and beyond this. I mean, we can simply disappear off the screen if it comes to that, okay? It's really, really important not to do this from the mind. And if you don't understand, don't do it. You're going to make negative karma for yourself. Not that I believe in karma, but there's a physics about cause and effect. And we want to bring in the light. We want to bring in the new day dawning, the golden age. We don't do that by slinging any kind of negativity around. I mean, unless higher self, you know, unless you're being danced into it. I have been danced into, and I journaled it, into losing my temper And it was really bizarre, but it was appropriate for that moment. So nothing but nothing should trump your own inner guidance, including me or anyone else. Let nothing trump your own internal direction. But I'm just saying, if you want to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, at the same time, you can do it this way. Your inner self will shine the light when you're in integrity yourself, when you're standing in full integrity and love. Your inner self will speak, and you'll hear the words, and they'll be perfect. We can also remember that we're all playing parts here, and those guys playing parts are just another aspect of us. That's not who they really are. It's all a part of the play. But that doesn't mean the play is unimportant. So what if it's an illusion? It's the illusion of our choice. We're here to have fun with it. And I suggest this is a very good, very constructive way to do that. So again, stay above the energy. This is where you want to ride on top of the wave, not get down in and be mauled and tumbled and beaten up on the rocks. You can surf this. You can surf their energy and work it in such a way. Remember, you're divine. You're truly divine. Just consider you have the power of Source behind you. And when we access it in full integrity, the power increases. You wouldn't want to have the full power of Source when you're really misbehaving. And there's a wisdom somehow that seems to take care of that. Maybe I'm imagining things here, I don't know. But the thing is, don't get your solar plexus involved. Be in heart. If you've got judgment in you, it's a really good idea to work on that first. Do some EFT, do some tapping, and you can search that on the net. There's plenty of help out there. It's a really easy way to move energy, and a lot of times that's all that's needed. We have blocks in addition to beliefs that don't do us any good. And so it's really important that we clean up our own act first. So if you have any question at all about doing this, I would choose not to do it. I would choose to work on myself and work on myself and work on myself until you're going to be danced into doing this. And it'll be just the right time, just the right space, and it'll work out beautifully. Let's be the answer we seek. Good day.